All right. Hello and welcome to Tuesday, April 7th, live Q&A. When you come in, go ahead and say hello in the live chat so we know who's here. And today we're talking about practice essay number 6, as well as any questions you have with respect to the AP test, the class, or other assignments. So those are our topics for today. Practice essay number 6 is going to be due Friday night. Now, Friday, we don't have classes because originally this was a school holiday, Friday and Monday. So you have a 4-day weekend. Obviously, you can write the essay sooner if you want. The 5th 6 weeks ends on Thursday. So grades, we have to submit grades next Tuesday night. So April 14th by then. That's going to be, the cutoff for everything. A lot of you have done a really good job in getting things turned in, which is good. Some of you, not so much, but I know a lot of you are dealing with internet issues, work schedules, houses where you've got a ton of people, sharing Chromebooks, sharing internet, trying to figure out times. But some of you, if you need some additional help getting things figured out, everybody has access to Remind. At least they did during the school year through your cell service. So let's make sure that we're asking questions, when we need help. And this is a good way to prepare for, what life will be like in college, because you'll have times when you can't get things done and you can't get things done in on time. And so you need an extension. So you need to reach out. So the more proactive you are, the more you tell us, the better off you'll be. So we have a question from Brian. Let's see here. All right, quick question. I just got a question offline. Oh, never mind. Okay, here we go. So our first question is going to be from Brian. And can you explain what the prompt of the essay means? Okay, so if you go ahead and have it in a place that if you want to pull it up on your Chromebook, you obviously don't need to see me, you can hear me. So go ahead and pull that window up on your Chromebook with the prompt, and we'll talk about it briefly again. I'm going to be pulling it up and looking at it too. So if you can, this was sent out earlier today in Google Classroom. So as an assignment and also as part of class materials. So you should be able to pull it up in one or two of those places. So the question says, the prompt has 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph is always going to be on an AP test where you get some background information about the book. And the reason that's there is, on the test, you won't have read the novel that the passage comes from. It's very unlikely that you would have read it. They don't really pick, novel. You won't ever see The Great Gatsby or Othello on there, because they don't pick novels that people teach, that people widely teach. So the first paragraph kind of sets the table for this. In many dystopian novels, so we learn that what we're working with is a dystopian novel, the authors criticize conditions in their own society by showing how the future would change for the worse if those conditions do not improve. In Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, one of Huxley's themes is criticism of the ways in which governments were pushing the use of technology in the hopes that people would lose emotional contact with one another. Without those emotional connections, people would have no loyalty to anyone other than the government. So that's just setting the stage, making us aware of what we're reading and putting an idea in our head that's probably going to come up in the question. So what's key there? We're looking at the word theme. That's going to be key. criticism of the ways in which governments were pushing the use of technology in the hopes that people would lose emotional contact with one another. So that technology and eroding emotional ties, that's one thing we want to look at, or one thing we want to have in mind. Okay, then we kind of get into some directions. Consider the passage from chapter 14, in which John the Savage goes to visit his mother, Linda, in the last minutes of her life. In what days does the passage reflect this theme of the government working to cut off emotional ties between people? So you have again that idea kind of repeated, and you'll see that in the question. They'll bring the theme up again in that second paragraph. Then you get your clues. You may want to include such devices as imagery and paradox in your discussion of the overall tone. Now remember, the use of the word may means you don't have to, but it's kind of a clue. It's kind of like if you're having an Easter egg hunt and somebody says, "Oh, you might want to look behind that tree." No, you don't have to, but it's kind of a clue. So, but that doesn't mean that you should do body paragraph number 1 about imagery and body paragraph number 2 about paradox. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. And then, the details. You have 40 minutes to write your essay by hand, and that's going to be on you. I mean, if you sit there and write a 5-page essay that's perfect, I'm going to know you didn't take 40 minutes. And so I'll grade it accordingly. But, 40 minutes. Once you are done with your pre-writing and ready to start, set an alarm on your phone. Maybe set it to go off every 10 minutes, every 20 minutes, so you know how far along you need to go. Because you're only going to have, 45 minutes to read and write your essay on the test, and you're going to have to be responsible to time yourself. After time is up, please go back and label the parts of the outline, and we'll go over that again in a second. Take a clear picture of it and submit it when you turn this assignment in. I'm asking you to write this by hand. The test, you'll have the option to type it on your Chromebook, or you can write it, but you'll still only have 40 minutes. And I'm not thinking that a lot of us are fast typers. Number 1. Number 2, if your internet happens to wig out while you are doing this, then that could cause you some problems. You might lose what you've written. So I'm going to recommend that you handwrite your essay on the test. Unless your handwriting is just awful. But if you handwrite it, then you're less vulnerable to something happening to your internet connection during that 40-minute time period. And then you can just take a picture of it and upload it. And that's something that you should be able to do with just using cell data, just in case your Wi-Fi goes out during the test. Okay, and then here's the passage. In the class earlier today, I took some time going through the passage to talk about some details you might want to consider. I didn't get too specific because I want you to, do your own looking and writing. But there are some clues in there if you want to go back and watch that video from this morning. It's labeled Class Session for April 7th. Here, where it says outline to follow, this is the outline, starting with introduction, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2. This outline is nothing new. And then, you may include other body paragraphs if you wish, but if you're going to do a body paragraph 3, make sure it follows that same outline. You can also include more quotes in body paragraphs if you want, but always have a comment for each one, and then have a sentence that wraps up each paragraph. And then your conclusion, you should restate your thesis, and then your so what. Why is this an important theme to write about? So maybe a personal example, maybe a trend you've noticed where technology is cutting off people's emotions, maybe why you think this is a harmful thing, maybe why you don't think it's such a big deal. Anything that shows kind of your personal connection with the topic goes well in the so what. Now, how about organizing the body paragraphs? Again, I don't recommend doing a body paragraph about imagery and then a body paragraph about paradox. One reason for that is you're going to overlap because a lot of the imagery contributes to a sense of paradox. Instead, I would focus on a couple of maybe moments in the passage. Maybe the moment where we see the room where Linda's kept in the second paragraph. Maybe the description of the hotel or the hospital from the outside in the first paragraph. I think you're definitely going to want to focus on John the Savage's conversation with the nurse. in one of your body paragraphs. I just think you're going to need to do that. And there's a lot more that I say about that in the class video today that you're welcome to go back and watch before you start the essay. All right. So now I'm going to go back into, pull down so I can see the live feed. So now I will take questions. Only a couple of us are in the room today, so and I think I've handled Brian's question. So what questions do you have about the essay topic, or about the test, or about anything else in the class? So once again, this will be due Friday night at midnight. It is a major grade in the 5th 6 weeks. You will need to annotate your paper with those parts of the outline if you want to get full credit. Okay, so last call for questions in this regard. Again, you can send questions via Remind once you get into writing the paper, and if you hit issues, and I'll get back with you. The rest of the week, tomorrow and Thursday, we'll have AP College Board review classes that start live at 11, and then we'll have Q&A after. There are reflection sheets for Wednesday and Thursday's classes. If you do those, you can get bonus points. So if your reading quiz grades have been low, you can get extra credit on that. Remember, again, the 6 weeks closes this week. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, stay safe and sane and healthy, and I'll look for your questions on Remind.